let's stick with the NBA, Rob. Steph Curry. I mean, I don't know if you saw last night, but this dude is on a tear. He dropped another 42 last night, 8 dimes to go with it.
Did they win?
I'm sorry. They blew out.
No, I'm just kidding.
They actually, you saw, they won by almost 40.
I'm just kidding.
It was Oklahoma City, so. But 53 tonight before. He's averaged 40 points this month. 40.7 rebounds, surprisingly, too. 57% shooting. Here's what I want to throw, and we talked about this, Rob. Remember when Brian Windhorst of ESPN put out a couple of weeks ago that LeBron's already recruiting Steph to the Lakers? And we talked about it immediately, and it was like, and I was on board with you, like, there's no reason for him to leave. You know, he's won his rings, his legacy is set, so on and so forth. But I got to be honest, Rob, as time, and it's obviously not a lot of time. I mean, we're talking about a few weeks. But as time goes on, the thought of Steph leaving Golden State, to me, becomes less and less egregious. Like, I really am starting to think, depending on how things work out, I'm starting to think it might not be a bad move for him. And I'll explain my point, and then I know you got a viewpoint on this. He is still clearly at the top of his game. If they were winning more, and they're 26-21 when he's healthy, they're 1-7 without him. So he's balling. 31 points a game or 30.7. I mean, he's doing his thing.
But
he's
there's a chance they won't make the playoffs. I mean, that's just,
right. But it's obviously not him, because when he's on the floor, their record is actually pretty strong. But he is still at the top of his game. Some would argue he's playing better than ever. I won't go that far, because to your point, they're not winning even when he's playing, and they're winning at a decent clip, not like they used to.
Right.
But he's averaging, he's getting double and triple teamed at times even. And so he's doing it with not nearly the help he's had before. So that's the argument for him playing better. But bottom line, he's still playing really well, still in his prime. If I'm Steph and he's under contract for next year, I'm coming back to Golden State next year. I would think about not signing an extension this summer and go back next year. He's got a bond, Rob, with Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. I mean, they've done great things together. And so you want to play with them. But if the team struggles, maybe Klay's not what he used to be. Maybe Draymond's really starting to show his age. And they're a 7th or 8th seed even with those guys. They go out in the first round, but Steph's still clearly clicking at the top of his game. Then my thinking is he doesn't have to leave. He doesn't have to go get rings. But I won't fault him if he says, you know what? The last 5 years of my career or whatever, I want to compete for championships. I've been competing for championships the bulk of my career, and I don't want to just be mediocre. As a team, I want to be somewhere where we have a chance to win. Not because I need more rings, but I'm competitive. And I wouldn't fault him for that. You can't in this era where everybody's bouncing around, even the best players. And so, look, if they come back next year and Klay's playing great, Dre's playing great, and they're a 3rd or 4th seed, they go to the second round, they get beat maybe by the Lakers or Clippers in a tough series, but they look like we're right there. We can win another ring, next year or the year after, add a piece or two, then I'm fine, stay. But I think just based on your individual competitiveness, just based on I still want to win championships, I'm starting to see, Rob, an opening for him to maybe leave.
I'm totally in disagreement with you. I think it would be a colossal mistake for Steph Curry to leave Golden State and the legacy that he's built. I just don't think he should wear anybody else's uniform. I think he could be in a class like a Derek Jeter, who played 20 years for the Yankees, never put on another team's uniform. Jeter won 5 championships. He's won 3. He's won 3. He had a great run. They went to 5 straight NBA finals. he doesn't need to do any more than he's already done. And I'm not saying like, to just play the string out and not try to win. But imagine going somewhere else and not winning. It's not a guarantee that if you go somewhere else, you're going to win. Michael Jordan never should have wore a Washington Wizards uniform, Chris. He never should have. And he did. And he never won. And he went. And he didn't even make the playoffs. So I don't like that idea. I think his legacy's set. Steph should embrace what he has. If I'm a Warriors fan, I would be bothered by it. I would really be bothered that this wasn't enough. That for most players in a great career to win, 2 MVPs and a unanimous MVP and to win 3 championships and go to the finals 5 years in a row, that wasn't enough. That somehow he would feel empty and would need some other accomplishment to feel good about what he's done. Most people, Chris, could call what he's done already a career and be way happy. And you do it, and they do have a bond with Klay Thompson and Draymond Green and the idea that those three guys he wants greener pastures, that he's outgrown this and he wants to move on. I think the testament would be if the band stayed together and Steph Curry somehow, some way could eke out one more, to cap off their career there at Golden State.
Better. Yeah.
I think that's a better story to me.
Let's throw it out to you guys. 877-99 on Fox, 877-996-6369. Your turn to weigh in on this topic as we continue it. How would you feel about Steph Curry leaving the Warriors? Should it be something he at least considers? Rob, see, I'll say this, because I don't think, like you painted it as a Steph leaving would be like, I'm not satisfied. I'm still lacking something. I don't think it has to be that way. Like, because it's not just playing for legacy. Like, guys play for competition. Guys play to win in the moment. I mean, Tom Brady's a great example of that. He could just relax. Oh, I got my legacy. I'm set. But he wants to compete in the moment. And that's what I'm talking about with Steph. You're right. I don't think he feels a need that I need more rings. And I don't know this, but I think it's possible if he went on got 2 or 3 more, then you start moving him up the rankings. But maybe a few more rings don't even move him past the guys that are ahead of him in the all-time rankings. So it's not even about that to me. It's just about the competition. I'm still at the top of my game. I want to win more rings. And I think, Rob, in this era, Durant's been on 3 teams. LeBron's been on 3 teams or 4 teams in 3 different cities. They're the best players of this generation, and they hopped all over the place, and it's not hurting their legacy. So yeah,
I disagree. I think that there's some people look at Durant, and he'll never fully get the credit he deserves as a great player. And we've heard some former NBA greats who have knocked Durant for moving around or joining the Warriors. And I think, obviously the rest of his career has to be written, Chris, but there are people who frowned upon that and, don't give him full credit. So I don't think there's anything to gain for Steph Curry. I think he's got a wonderful legacy at Golden State. They all adore him and love him. And I think he should be like Jeter and stick with his team until the very end and never wear another team's uniform. That's just me.
Yeah. No, and there's a case obviously to be made for that, and I see the merit in that. And if he decides to stay, more power to him. And to your point, they can try to build toward another championship. But I just gotta admit, I'm really starting to feel like, and I think too, Robin, I threw this out. Let's say Brooklyn runs through the league this year.
Right.
Let's say it all works out. They lose 1 playoff game in the East, maybe win the finals in 4 or 5, and maybe do it a similar thing next year. Like they become Golden State, right? They become that next Golden State. Then you're going to have guys, Rob. I don't know where. I mean, obviously the Lakers, but who knows if LeBron will still even be at the top of his game at that point. But there will be teams, maybe Milwaukee, and that Steph could go to and say, you know what? This is ridiculous. Like, we got to compete. Somebody's got to compete.
I hear you,
with
but
Brooklyn,
I understand that, but I'm not sure if it's Steph. Chris, we got a couple people want to chime in.
All right.
You ready for that?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Hank in Virginia, you're on the Dan Patrick Show, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Hank?
Gentlemen, so glad to hear you guys early in the day.
Thank you.
I'll be honest with you, man, the NBA is no free agents go to, like, Indiana. They don't go to Memphis. They don't go to Portland. They don't. So why don't we just contract it to 18 since everybody wants to join up with the best players anyway, right? I mean, seriously, if that's what
well, they're actually talking about expanding.
I hear you.
That, right?
We can't add any more teams, right?
Well, you know they're talking about that, Rob.
Right.
But
Thanks,
I mean, okay, I mean, am I wrong? You know,
No,
hold on. I'm gonna say a little something, Hank. Giannis stayed in Milwaukee.
Give him credit for that. I love
Right?
that move, Chris. I love that.
Westbrook stayed in Oklahoma, as did Paul George. Remember, Paul George stayed in Oklahoma. Aldridge went to San Antonio. Now, they were a great team, so maybe that's a little different, but he went to San Antonio.
Which is a small
Dame
market.
Dollar, you know this, Rob. Damian Lillard wants to stay in Portland. So I think Rob, you said it earlier. It's only a few guys.
Right. Hank, thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
LeBron,
Right. It's not
Kawhi,
as many.
KD,
Right.
Kyrie. You know, it's not everybody.
Will in Texas. You're on the Dan Patrick Show, Fox Sports Radio. What you got, Will?
Hey, guys. Big fan, man. Big fan of the Odd Couple.
Thank you.
Just want to chime in here with, you know what? I think Steph shouldn't be chasing rings. He's got plenty of them, but if he wanted to make a move to a good team that's more a smaller franchise and probably could get a ring, it'd be something like San Antonio. San Antonio needs a definitely good point guard, and I think he'd be a great fit there with Popovich.
I think, Rob, if he
Thanks
moved,
for the call, Will.
I would. If he moved, I would really only do it if I was going to a team that was right there, and I knew I would be the guy to help get them over the hump. I wouldn't go to just another good team. He's already
No. You got to do something right. It'd have to be to push them over the top.
Right.
One last one, Chris. Let's squeeze in Steven in New York. You're on the Dan Patrick Show, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Steven?
Steven.
All right, let's do Nate.
All right.
Nate
All right.
in Texas. Nate,
Hey,
you're on the
guys.
Dan Patrick Show.
Hey, guys, thanks for having me. You were the last show I listened to yesterday and the first one I listened to this morning. It's
Wow.
a real treat.
You got a blessed life, man.
I thank you
I
so
know.
much.
It's a real treat. So I just, Rob, I think you hit the nail on the head last night on the Odd Couple. He's already won some titles at Golden State. I think it's best for him to stay there. You know, if he hadn't won any titles with them and he wanted to go get a title somewhere else, I'm okay with that. But I love him staying in Golden State and being true to that organization. You just don't see it enough these days.
It's true. And they love him there. He's making, Chris, was he making $40 million, $50 million a year or something?
He'll be making more, no doubt.
Right. I mean, what? And he's the king of that city. Right?
I will say
he helped
this,
build
Rob.
that new arena in San
yeah.
Francisco.
And that wasn't they weren't a great franchise. You know,
They hadn't won in
it
40
since
years.
75.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But he would, I imagine Golden State fans would be down on him for a little while, but it would wear off. And when he retired or even late in his career, when he went back, it would be all love. But